the bees. They feel very welcome.
Yay! Woo!
When people hear the word bee, they usually think of the European honeybee. But did you know there are in fact 2,000 species of native bees to Australia? These are the bees that I love, that give me a real buzz, and the ones that we really need to protect, because they're often better pollinators compared with honeybees for wildflowers and fruit and veggies. Whilst honeybees are the queens of mass media, if we can take a lesson from cats and cane toads, honeybees, as an introduced species, could be harming our native wildlife. Both honeybees and native bees need flowers for food, and if there's not enough to go around, honeybees could outcompete native bees, causing them to starve. They could do this through physical competition, and if there was a fight-off, we can expect that honeybees would win. Many of our native bees are much smaller than honeybees, some less than 3 millimeters long. As you may have noticed, I'm a bit vertically challenged. So a fight between a native bee and a honeybee would be like trying to defend myself against Mike Tyson. Honeybees could also outcompete native bees through resource competition. Imagine back when you were a kid and you and your sibling were vying over some lollies. You could go to these lollies and eat them all first, leaving nothing for your sibling. With honeybee colonies having 80,000 bees and being very effective at locating flowers, it's likely that our native bees would lose out. Now, despite these predictions, whether honeybees do outcompete native bees is a point of ongoing controversy. We don't want to make rash decisions and end up in a sticky situation, because the Australian honey industry is renowned worldwide, but we also have a rich biodiversity of native bees. So I set out to get to the bottom of this. Over 2 years, across 14 sites, I've been recording the numbers of native bees and honeybees and seeing if there's a negative correlation between the two. So, what did I find? Are honeybees outcompeting native bees? The answer is, it depends. Contrary to expectations, I found no association between honeybee numbers and native bee numbers. But this is a bit simplistic. When I delved deeper, I found that the native bee species that foraged on the same flower species as honeybees were at lower abundances when honeybees were at higher abundances, and vice versa. So, what does this all mean? Well, although honeybees aren't devastating native bee populations, they are competing with the native bee species that share the same flower preferences. What this means is that to strike a balance, we need to increase the number of flowers that both honeybees and native bees prefer so that they can coexist. What a sweet solution.
Yeah.
Thank you. You have a live audience and you also have thousands of people watching this online. What can we do? How do we find the information to find out what kind of plants we should be planting in our local area that might support the native bee, and what else can we do to help those populations individually in our backyard?
Thank you so much for asking me this question on live stream and to this audience. It's given me the opportunity to tell everyone how to help our native bees. So many of our native bees are quite different in their foraging preferences from honeybees in that they're quite specialised. And so they co-evolved with our native flora in Australia. So we really need to emphasise planting native flowers and retaining bushland remnants because those are the key habitats for our native bees. We can find out information on how to help native bees and the flowers that they need, and sorry about the self-promotion, but I have a Facebook group called Bees in the Burbs in a Biodiversity Hotspot, and it's got information there. I've made up a little one-page PDF of the flowers that the native bees need. I also have a book on native bees, the flowers that they need, and also bee hotels, which is something that you can make for the native bees to nest in, because native bees They don't live in colonies, in hives like honeybees.
Alright, everyone get onto Facebook and follow that group. Thank you so much, Kit.